Då ska vi se 1, 2, 3. Hola!
Olá, tudo bem?
Tudo bem?
Tudo bem. Ok, så vi hälsar och sen...
Hola!
Olá, tudo bem?
tudo bien? سلام دوستان. امروز اینجا هستیم با یکی از دوستای من اسمش گوستافه و قراره برامون راجع به زبان و اینکه چجوری یه عالم زبان یاد گرفته صحبت کنه. سلام گوستاف.
سلام، خوبی؟
خوبم، تو خوبی؟
خوبی؟ خوبم. مرسی.
خب همونطور که شنیدین گوستاف یه سری کلمات رو میتونه به فارسی بگه ولی هنوز انقدری هم فارسی بلد نیست که بخواد اینجا با ما فارسی حرف بزنه تو این ویدیو. خلاصه برای همین میایم و ازش راجع به خودش، زبانایی که بلده و کارهایی که کرده برای یاد گرفتن اون زبانا به انگلیسی سوال میکنیم. So Gustav, let us know about yourself.
Yes, so, well, I will begin with telling that I'm Brazilian.
Yes.
I've been living in Sweden for 3 years right now. And here I've improved a lot in languages, where I learned Swedish and I've also improved my English. And I can tell a bit of how it was to learn Swedish and which ways I took to learn it. So I started with reading children books because the course didn't started then. I had to wait like 1 or 2 months to start with the course. So I started like I went to the library and picked some children books or child books, and then I didn't know anything there. Not a word. So it was very difficult. I was translating everything until some words that come very often. I began to be able to identify them first, and then I began to this word I know. So I was memorizing the sentences or like the way that we use these words, and then of course what they mean.
So you checked up the words in a dictionary and then
Yeah, and the most important was to know how the words were being used in the sentence. So that was very important that I was reading this book, because if I was studying this word list, it should be it would be very bad, because it would not be possible to know how I would use them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And was it important at the first for you to know how you need to pronounce the words, or you didn't care about the pronunciation that much?
Yes, that was a point that I had to develop afterwards, because my pronunciation wasn't very good. So I have always been very good in writing and in reading Swedish, but not as good in speaking Swedish. So this is where the course helped me a lot, because then I had the possibility to speak with many colleagues and the teachers. So there I developed my speaking much more in Swedish.
Cool.
Yeah.
And now you're a student at the university, studying in Swedish. So in 3 years, a great job.
Yes, I think so. And still there is a lot to develop and to learn.
Of course.
So I'm still I'm learning it every day.
Yeah.
And I think it's very, very fantastic to learn languages.
Great. So your mother tongue is Portuguese, right?
Yes, my mother tongue is Portuguese.
How easy or difficult do you think Portuguese is for people who doesn't have it as mother tongue?
Personally, I think it's very difficult because the pronunciation is there is no
rules,
or it's not from the. It's very difficult. Different. There is no connection between the pronunciation of the languages, but still they are of the same language tree, the Indo-European languages. Yeah. So there is some connections, like some words like the color pink. Rosa is in Swedish is rosa for Portuguese, the same thing. So, but very few connections or similarities. But I don't think it would be I don't think it's impossible for a Brazilian to learn Swedish. It's difficult, but it's possible.
Yeah, and it's not impossible for another person from around the world to learn Portuguese, right?
No, of course. Yeah.
And can you, because maybe people are not familiar with Portuguese, can you talk a little bit in Portuguese?
Yes, of course. I can say whatever. Meu nome é Gustaf e eu estou estudando na faculdade agora. Eu moro em Uppsala, que é situado no sul da Suécia. E então, eu estou aprendendo sueco faz 3 anos e está sendo fantástico essa possibilidade de aprender línguas e morar na Europa e tudo. Eu acho que é muito...
So I can say that all the things you told us, I don't speak Portuguese, but I could understand everything you said.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Since I know Spanish, I think that's too similar, so it wasn't really hard to get what you said.
Yeah, and I think the same of Spanish. I think though the pronunciation is very difficult for me to try to speak Spanish, but I can understand very much Spanish.
Yeah. So let's go to the next question. I didn't ask you about this one. Which one of these languages that you learned, Swedish and English, which one was most difficult?
Swedish was difficult, but still I think English was the most difficult because then I didn't have the experience of learning a new language. So I think the first new language is the most difficult, but then you get used to it, and then you know the process of how to learn like by yourself. It's not that you have this manual.
No.
It's you don't know why, but you can learn a language with hacks or so.
Yeah. In Brazil back in time, when you were to school, and which language did you study, or was it obligatory to study any language?
Yes, it was obligatory to study English. But the education of English it was of a low level, so not all of the students could speak English after the school.
No, I think that was it was like it. Back in time when I went to school, that you studied English and it was obligatory, but not many people could.
Yeah, but if you have if you want to learn it, then you can learn by yourself. But it's not that because here in Sweden, everyone who goes to school, they always study English, and the most of them they can speak English after the high school. So it's quite a difference.
Yeah. Yes, and the next question is about if you have any recommendations, any tips for people out there who wants to learn a new language.
Yes. Like my first recommendation is try it. You can get if you don't have this language if in the school, then you can buy a textbook. And just try to see and to look at some sentences and to see if it's if you understand some or what's the level of this textbook. And then I think that you should get a book, a child book, and then start with translating the words. And for you to memorize these words, you can get this application. There are a lot of them who uses flashcards to memorize the words. I used this flashcard Anki, which is a very good tool.
How does it work? I'm not really familiar with that one.
This Anki, you save your cards. It's like flashcards you have in paper. Then you can adapt these cards. You can change them. But the most common one is that you have this front and back.
Yes.
In the front you write what I did. I write the word in Swedish, and then in the back of it I wrote the word in Portuguese. And not only a word, you can also have this whole sentence, and then the whole sentence in Portuguese or in the word that you in your mother word. So that was a very gold. It was like gold for me. It was very, very good. So it helped me a lot in the process. So get a textbook. and then like I would suggest to get a grammatic book, because it's not that you should read like a lot, but only like one day you take a page of that grammatic book, and then you just study a bit, because you need to have this basic, yes, and then these written rules are very important.
Of course.
And then get a child book, and then start with flashcards.
So don't spend a lot of time on grammar, but still learn the basic rules and.
Yes, I think it was not so useful for me, because I was forgetting like the most of what I read, because it was so boring. Because I read a lot, okay, but I forgot everything like in 1 month after that. So it's good that it's not only with books. If you are not a book person, you can you can look for some series that you are interested in the language that you are aiming for, and starting to see material in this language and to translating it. So
perfect.
And then it's also important for you to look for someone who you can speak with.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have a course where you should go with.
That was my next question.
Yeah,
so it's really important to find someone to talk to.
You should train, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult for you to pronounce the words.
That's true. So thank you. And just this other has to do with how to learn a language, but I'm really curious myself. What is the differences between Portuguese from Brazil and from Portugal?
That's a very common question, and I can start with saying that they are the same language, but it's some regional differences, because of course Portugal is in Europe and Brazil in South America, so it is 500 years ago that the Portuguese people come to Brazil, so the language has changed a lot. First of all, the pronunciation is very different. I can give some examples. Like in Brazil, if I say Portuguese, which is Portuguese, we say Portuguese, and in Portugal they say Português. They have this pronunciation of the S after the word, which is very different.
Yeah.
And then you have also some new words in Brazil that they don't have in Portugal. Like if you want to say the train, you say comboio for Portuguese of Portugal.
Okay.
But you say trem in Portuguese of Brazil. Like breakfast in Brazil is café da manhã, and in Portugal is pequeno almoço.
Oh, that's a big difference.
Yes, it's like two totally different things. In café da manhã is coffee of the morning, and pequeno almoço is little lunch.
Yeah,
it's very different. And also like the way we structure the sentences. Like I'm not sure, but I think that in Portugal they say eu estou a fazer algo. Eu estou a fazer algo. In Brazil we say eu estou fazendo algo. Which I don't know if the one who doesn't study Portuguese, it's difficult to understand, but I that have this Portuguese as mother tongue, I think it's different, very very different. So I can say when I hear Portuguese of Portugal, I can say that I can say it's from Portugal.
But you have no difficulties to comprehend Portuguese from Portugal?
No. Some words that I cannot understand, but it's only to Google it, because it's some special words in these sentences. Then it's only Google it and then I understand.
And you know the whole thing.
But it's good to that before I'm going to Portugal, then it's good that I look for some words so that I don't get embarrassed in the trip, because I haven't been in Portugal like in that trip or 1 week or so, and that's the plan, that someday I can do it.
Yeah.
But then I need to be prepared with the words, so that,
of course,
because there can be
misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And as a last question, I know that a lot of people are interested to travel to Brazil. Brazil is kind of exotic for some people, and if people, we say after Corona, hopefully soon, if people want to visit Brazil, where would you recommend? Which part of the country? Or
I would not recommend to go to Rio because it's the first option for a lot of people. But I would recommend first go to São Paulo and see this huge city. There are a lot of cultural points there, and the history is very good, and the city is it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. But then go to the middle of Brazil, or like the not only the coast. You can go some days in the coast, but you must also go to the inside and see how is the culture there.
Yeah,
like I could say Goiás, it's a state there, and it's very famous for the waterfalls and the nature. Very, very beautiful.
Yeah. Perfect. I hope once we can just travel there together so you can show me everything.
Yes, I hope that I can go to Brazil as soon as possible. Soon.
Yeah, so thank you. How do you say goodbye in Portuguese?
Ciao.
Ciao.
Obrigado.
Obrigado.